Are you a business or service interested in getting your product or service in front of our tens of thousands of listeners and social media followers? Hit us up at theextraordinarynegroes@gmail.com and let's make some magic together.
Word. We want to reach out to businesses big and small because we'd love to bring your products in front of our passionate, pigmented audience. So like Alex said, hit us up at theextraordinarynegroes@gmail.com and let's discuss on how you can help us help you. Let's get it. And welcome to the latest installment of The Extraordinary Negroes. It is your boy, Jay Connor.
And I'm still Alex Hardy.
And yeah, we in this bitch. What you been up to, man?
Same old. Just trying to avoid stay warm and actually avoid the hateration outside. Been trying to get back into writing more regularly, actively working on this memoir situation. So I'm trying to I've been setting up writing dates with fellow writers in the area to keep that momentum and that motivation going. So that's the biggest thing that I have happening at the moment. What about you?
I just had a panel with the NABJ last week, developing a better freelance plan with the big homie George and some other people. Shanita hosted it. Shout out to her for holding it down on that. I have a tour guide for people who visit LA. It's supposed to be coming out this week. For people who visit LA and they want to experience Black culture. And anytime you get to be like unapologetically Black in a writing piece, that's always fun. So I went peak Black on that joint. Still banging out a bunch of stuff with creators of color. Got another podcast interview that should be surfacing, I believe, sometime this week. I don't want to screw it up like last time and ruin the surprise. Yeah. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But yeah, just staying busy, man. We definitely want to make sure that if you aren't doing so already, please follow us on our social media accounts. We are a fucking riot. What? We are a home of the best hashtags on the internet. What? This is an undisputed fact.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? We got the illest social media feeds on IG, Facebook, Twitter, and the whole nine. We definitely want you to participate and be a part of that. So if you aren't doing so already, you can follow us at The Extra Negroes on IG and Twitter. What? And of course, The Extraordinary Negroes on Facebook. I don't know how much we're up to. I think we're up to like 70, 80,000 followers or something crazy like that.
Pretty much.
Join the party, be a part of the revolution. So on top of that, definitely want to take a minute to show some love to people that have been dropping us reviews. So I will start with Killa Dilla. I'm assuming that's how you, I want to say quesadilla, but whatever. So Killa Dilla 87 says, it's great to hear Black men speak intelligently on issues that really matter without being problematic. I became a lifelong fan when one of them gave a long speech on sexual assault in Hollywood. That was my Black ass. Also, the guests are great and very informative. My fave was the Army vet and hearing about the Black film streaming service. So she's talking about Quelly TV. Created by Deshauna Spencer, if you aren't already up on that. And shout out to Richard Brookshire, who she was giving a shout out about the Army vet episode. I forgot the name of it, but it was for Veterans Day.
Ta-da. And Brenda says, through the collaborative network of POC produced podcasts, I learned about the Extraordinary Negroes. I love the thoughtful analysis of shows we all watch and the accessible and fun approach of the guests, as well as the timely sound effects.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
Keep up the great work. Shout out to you.
Shout out to Brenda, my BFF. If you guys aren't already listening to Tamarindo podcast, please do so. I was on the most recent episode. Definitely check that out. And also much love to Podcasts in Color, because I know that a lot of people are finding about us through that. So shout out to Barry over there. I need to hit her up. I haven't talked to her in a minute.
Definitely. Also, just on that note, like anybody, if you're looking for other podcasts of color, definitely hit that Podcast in Color hashtag on Twitter and Instagram and other social and Facebook, and you'll definitely find a lot of other dope podcasts just like out there killing the game.
Absolutely. And as always, we love hearing from each of you. So please drop us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be sure to give you a shout out on the show. Shall we get on with the get down?
Let's do it.
Last night was the 60th Grammy Awards, hosted by the perpetually unfunny James Corden. It featured 4 hours of surprises, star-studded music, and mayhem.
The Grammys started off strong this year with the first award of the evening, which was for Best Rap and Song Performance. And to literally no one's surprise, Kendrick Lamar, one of the evening's frontrunners, took it home for his song Loyalty featuring Rihanna. Not too fast, that wasn't Kendrick's only award of the evening. He actually won another 4 Grammys on top of that. During the live show, we all watched as Kendrick accepted the award for Best Rap Album, but before the show even started, he won in the categories of Best Rap Song, Best Rap Performance, and Best Music Video. Wow.
Being the award show whores that we are, what'd you think of last night's festivities, Mr. Hardy?
It was generally, well, of course, Kendrick was amazing. It's always good to see what he's going to do with his award show performances. I think he's one of the few performers who's actually getting better, with each showing. It was good to see Cardi do her thing, Cardi B with Bruno Mars. Of course, Beyonce looked good and Rihanna looked amazing. And I'm glad that Kendrick got his due for his album. Damn. I thought it was good. There were a lot of corny moments.
Lord.
Yeah. I thought it was good.
Was it me or was the audience heavily segregated? Like every time the camera panned to the audience, I had real questions about which water fountain we're allowed to use right now.
I mean, you got to sit with your friends, got to be safe, sit with the cool kids.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm going to be over here. All the niggas was in the back. But Kendrick's performance, I'm in the small minority on that one. I wasn't feeling it. One, because I couldn't understand a motherfucking word he was saying. And two, those Dave Chappelle interludes, they felt superfluous. They felt disjointed. I guess I graduated from the Erykah Badu University of, being a contrarian, because I guess I'm just being one for the sake of one. I'm definitely in the minority on that one. I'm sure I'm going to get destroyed for not feeling that performance, but it just didn't move me. Also, I skipped all the white performances because my DVR is an active proponent of quote unquote reverse racism.
Now that's fucked up.
But one thing that did stand out is I was surprised to see Jay-Z shut out. As much as they've been swinging from his balls for the last 20 years, I thought he was going to clean house, especially that he finally became an adult on his newest album. So yeah, I was definitely surprised by that.
Finally.
Childish Gambino, Terrified. He killed it. That was an amazing performance. I don't know who that little boy was, but he gave me like flashbacks of the New Edition story. So shout out to that little kid who was. He's
gonna be playing young Simba in the upcoming Lion King with him.
That's their magic together. That was really dope. That was great. Rihanna looked magically delicious per usual. The Trump jab, that was pretty interesting. I get that we all hate him, but I'm just still like alarmed. Well, not alarmed, but I'm still just surprised by how like effortlessly people make it a point to destroy and slander him at every given moment, even at award shows. I'm just like, wow, this is just, that shit would like never happen with Bush or, Obama or, any of these other people in office. So it's just kind of weird to see.
That is a good point, because, a couple of years ago, even with Bush, like when Dixie Chicks were even saying like something, I forget even what they said, but whatever they said at the time against George Bush would be nothing now. It probably wouldn't even make headlines. But just the fact that, it's in vogue to hate the shitbag. I mean, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Kesha, yo.
Yeah.
I understand that, with everything she endured personally, that there was an emotional component of the performance, but she sounded like her soul was trying to escape her body, dog. She sounded super trash. That performance was garbage.
It was not an enjoyable. At first, I thought they were going to do like a tribute to like some old Beyonce performance of something, but it just didn't sound good. It sounded, and like you said, I mean, I saw after the fact. First of all, I didn't even know who she was at first. I just thought it was some, slovenly looking white woman, but, it resonated with a lot of people. She didn't necessarily sound good, just like the other, Sam Smith, people love him. I just think he's a snooze fest, and he just, they plucked that black choir out there to try to prop him up and make him sound a little less boring. But, those,
like I said, I got the reverse racist DVR. So, I didn't see no Sam Smith on my television screen.
Skip.
But it's just, and also we got to give it up to little ashy Afro Bruno Mars. He trying to get y'all R&B niggas the fuck out of here.
He's trying.
He trying to get all these dudes the fuck out. And it's just like, man, just I love him so much, but I completely understand that he feels like a karaoke artist because every single song he makes reminds you of something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never heard a Bruno Mars song and was like, oh, this sounds like Bruno. Like, every single song he makes sounds like somebody else. But he killed it, man. He did.
I mean, he's a good performer. I mean, yeah, and I don't know if this song was if Finesse is like a update. I don't know if that's Bobby Brown that sounds like to me, but
definitely New Jack Swing.
I enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad, this, like I said, Cardi's come a long way. Definitely her stage presence. That's the biggest difference I've seen. Like, not just her being at the Grammys, but just, how comfortable she is dancing and moving around and using the stage.
Well, I mean, she's been using stages for a while, but okay. I had to be. That's the typical nigga answer because that's what everybody keeps going back to.
You had to have the nigga component.
I hate when they do that shit too.
Yeah,
but yeah. Go ahead.
Pretty good. I'm not on the SZA bandwagon like everybody else. I mean, I enjoy her. I thought her album was good. It wasn't like the heart-stopping album of the year, best thing I ever heard. I wake up and go to sleep to her fucking songs. I mean, I thought she did a good job. And I'm glad to see her getting her shine. I feel like it's been a long time and I feel like she's been in the game for a while. And I feel like the rest of us are just kind of getting on board. But however long it's been, I'm glad she's getting some shine.
Yeah, she's dope. I have yet to fully partake of her album, in part because I love Galore and The Weeknd are both dope. But I feel like if I have to listen to an entire album of her singing all over the place, like, it's not going to help. It's not going to be a good look. So I've avoided it like the plague.
And that's fine.
So hopefully one of these days I'll muster the courage to do so. Also, last week, Essence Magazine revealed their lineup for the 2018 Essence Festival, and every auntie and Bluetooth earpiece wearing uncle squealed with glee, which includes the like of Fantasia, Jill Scott, Snoop, Escape, Miguel, The Roots, 112, Erykah Badu, rising star Kevin Ross, podcast superstars The Reed, but most importantly, the patron saint of Black Girl Magic herself, Saint Demita Joe.
That's right. And let me tell it.
More commonly known as Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. So, Mr. Hardy, what emotion best describes your reaction to the lineup? Other than unspeakable joy.
Joy and fucking excitement. This is the first one I'm seriously considering going to. I think it's a good lineup, and unfortunately you can't just buy tickets for Janet. So, if I do decide to go, you definitely have to sit through all 900 million performances, but I think it'd be a good time to get down there, get back down to New Orleans and see some of these people. Like, I really want to see Miguel. People talk about him being a really good live performer. I do want to see Miguel. People talk about Jill Scott being amazing. I would love to see Jill Scott. I've never seen Erykah Badu. And I guess, from there, might as well see motherfucking Escape too. But yeah, I think that I saw Janet's tour and I'm pretty sure it's going to be some version of that. But I definitely am going to try to get in the building, whether as an individual ticket buying person or with those motherfucking press credentials.
Word. So yeah, oxtails and applause for Janet and everybody else, holding it down at the Essence Festival this year. You said you've never been before?
Well, I never been, but I worked in New Orleans. I was living in New Orleans in 2013, and I worked in a restaurant in the French Quarter during Essence Fest, and it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life because niggas really showed out.
Niggas definitely show out during Essence Fest. I have, in hearing about this, it made me think about some of my favorite Essence Festival memories. And I have two. The first one I have is the time I made eye contact with Halle Berry. It was like 95, might have been 94, 95, 96, somewhere around there. I was outside waiting to get in with my parents, and Halle Berry.
95. Okay.
Yeah. And Halle Berry was walking by, and I looked at her, and then she looked at me, and we locked eyes. It was a passionate 20, 30 seconds in my head. More than likely, probably like a second and a half.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But We made that eye contact. I felt like I started singing some, End of the Road or something, or not End of the Road, but On Bended Knee. Heard something in my heart.
And
yeah, butterflies. But my second favorite Essence Festival memory involves my sister. We saw, I think it was that same year, Boyz II Men was performing, and that was when they were like the hottest thing on the planet. International superstars, as opposed to balding middle-aged men like they are now. And we were on like the second floor, because like there's either you're on the ground or you're kind of like in the bleachers area. You know what I'm saying? So we were like in the bleachers, and my sister was dumbing out because she was like the biggest Boyz II Men fan on the planet. And they started like tossing roses into the crowd, and my sister starts freaking out and tried to climb over the guardrail to get to the floor. I'm like, yes, that's like a 50-foot drop. Like, what are you doing? So my dad like grabs her by her neck because Keisha was hell bent on like jumping down there and getting one of them roses. So shout out to her not dying for no damn rose. And when she hears this, she's gonna crack up. Hopefully her husband don't cuss her out. But yeah, those are my two favorite Essence Festival memories. But yeah, I've always had a great time out there. I highly suggest anybody go out there. The movie Girls Trip is a very accurate depiction of what goes down, minus the grapefruit. I think it was 2015 was the last year I went. Whatever year it was that Prince was there. Either that was 2015 or 2014. I think it was 2015 was the last year I went.
I think that was 15.
But it's always a good ass black ass time. If you can, everybody tries to stay on the French Quarter because that's where it's cracking, as you are well aware. But yeah, it's a zoo. It's a zoo out there. You're going to see plenty of, like I said, Bluetooth earpieces, auntie haircuts,
leather sandals,
the full Roland Martin starter kit you will see out there.
Fanny packs, everything.
But Patreon, sir, what makes Patreon such an important component of what it is that we do and how it is that we do what we do, Mr. Hardy?
Well, folks, Patreon is a lovely way for you, our wonderful, beautiful, moisturized listeners, to support the work that we're doing in making this podcast happen, and also keeping our website going and just continuing to be black and wonderful out here in 2018 in the age of tangerine terrorists. It is a way for you to support, just, keeping the lights on, keeping the website up, all of the recording and the scheduling and all the apps and things that we use to make this magic happen. It is a way for you to contribute to the cause and not be a racist. So it is highly recommended that you head over to patreon.com/Extraordinary Negroes and holler at us and help us be great out here.
Yes, please don't be a racist. Give us all your money. But no, seriously, we graciously appreciate every donation that's made. It definitely helps keep everything afloat. And like I said earlier, or like I always usually try to say, if Patreon is not your ministry, we accept PayPal donations as well at paypal.me/The Extra Negroes. And I think I forgot to say our Patreon account, which is patreon.com/The Extraordinary Negroes. So definitely, if the spirit moves you, put a little change in the collection plate.
Come on down.
And as always, make sure you check out our website. We got plenty of dope ass content and article and stuff on there. And any after parties we put out. It's been a minute since we put out one, but damn it, we're going to get on the job. Last episode, what'd you hear about it?
Man, Dave, we had Dave Aronson on, the business bully, who's had like a long career in radio and business and as a salesperson. One person, a woman that I spoke to, Deanna, she thought that he was a really good interview, and that she said it was one of her favorites from us in terms of just that he was just saying whatever the fuck not say whatever the fuck he wanted to say, but just that he spoke his mind, and he was completely unfiltered, and in terms of saying unpopular things and the way of, the way he views the business landscape and the way he views the, the radio and the market, as far as his competition. She was impressed by that, and that he has been able to stay afloat and be independent out here. I think he talked about like the myth of job security and how, these people can take even if you're making good money and got benefits and doing well, like they can take the shit away with the blink of an eye, with one conference call, with an email, with nothing. And so just he stressed the importance of just having your own and being in business for yourself. Yeah. And that was one of the things that like really, really push her. Because we do like to think we get excited about these jobs and these benefits and these titles and this office and all this shit. But I mean, really, as we see every day on the news, I mean, that it can all be taken away. So, I mean, he definitely motivated her to get her own shit together and not depend on that paycheck.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people were really feeling this episode. I feel like it was kind of, I thought it would be a lot more polarizing than it was, but
me too.
Overwhelmingly positive feedback I've heard on it. They love how passionate he was about the things he was discussing. They really felt like it was a sermon. Like he was just really just going in on his devotion to shifting the status quo and just really trying to, elevate beyond our limitations as Black people. So definitely heard a lot of dope stuff about that. Thank you, Dave, for coming through. But who we got on this episode?
On this episode, we're going to talk to speaker and organizer Dallas Goldtooth. He's one of the biggest Indigenous organizers. He uses comedy and humor to forward his causes. He's actually been instrumental in the Keystone XL pipeline and the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. And we're just going to talk to him about how he does what he does, his identity as an Indigenous person, and how he keeps the party going in the age of Tangerine Terrorists.
Definitely excited to hear what it is that he has to say. I've been anxiously pursuing this interview for a few months now, so I'm glad we locked him in. So before we get into that, let's get into some motherfucking shrimp and grits.
It's the questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Come on, the questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Yeah, the questions.
Chance asks, which would you consider better, the 90s hip-hop generation or today's hip-hop generation? And why is there such a beef with the old heads versus the young heads? Chance.
I feel like this is a, like a debate that every generation has. Every generation, I'm sure, thinks their music is better. I wouldn't necessarily say that one is better than the other. I mean, I think I have a lot of nostalgia for like 90s hip hop, of course, because that's when I grew up and I have a lot of memories attached to that music and, things like that. I mean, now it's just different. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. And as far as like the beef between young heads and old heads, I think that's every, the same thing happens for R&B, and everybody talks about how, old music is better, the current generation is trash. I just think that everybody just feels that they had the best opinions and the best music and the best beats. I think that's inevitable for every person to ride for their own, where they are and the music that they are in at the moment. I don't think one is better than the other.
Well, I think you're full of shit because I'm a grumpy bastard, and this current music of Little Cheeseburger and Young Dishwasher is not doing it for me. I think it's trash. I think it lacks quality. I think it lacks artistry. I'm disgusted in how much it celebrates drug culture. Not to say that the 90s didn't have its own set of, violence and misogynoir and all that other stuff, but these kids run around here with, run around looking like a bag of Skittles. And I'm just thoroughly confused by what is going on with hip hop today. And it just sounds like trash. It all sounds the same. It's all disposable. It's just gross. Like I can't get with it. So if I'm gonna be the old cantankerous Joe Budden ass nigga on the show, then so be it. I don't knock the kids for doing what they do because I feel like, to your point, every generation has its own vibe and its own thing, and this is just who they are. But I do definitely think that our music was a higher quality. And as far as why there's a beef between the old heads and the young heads, I just think because, us old niggas, a lot of us are just too conservative. I heard Combat Jack say the same thing many times about how like a lot of these old niggas are basically like rap Republicans. They don't want this liberal, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't want change. And I welcome change. Yeah. It's like I welcome change. I just want it to be good. I just want it to be quality. And I mean, to be fair, there are still plenty of quality acts out there. There's, Tyler the Creator, there's Kendrick Lamar. Allegedly, there's J. Cole. I say allegedly because I haven't really talked with him in a minute. But there's still artists out there that are dope, but I just feel like the thing that I don't understand is that the artists that actually sell are the artists that actually rap. So I don't understand why there's so much crap out when it doesn't sell. That, and I think it's harder for me to appreciate the current crop of hip hop just because I'm more older and mature. When I was 15, 16, it was cool. I wouldn't say it was cool, but it was acceptable for a woman to be called a bitch and me to just let it go. Now it's hard for me to stomach that. Now it's kind of like, I'm not with that. Plus, you have examples of people like, I think his name's 6ix9ine, Tekashi 6ix9ine or something, who's currently like one of the biggest.
That's a pseudo-head nigga, right?
Yeah. Who's currently one of the biggest rappers on the planet, but he's fighting a charge for fucking with a 13-year-old.
Right.
And then you got that XXX, whatever the hell. Weirdo looking,
some shit.
XXX Tin Man, whatever the fuck. You got him who's fighting, one of the biggest artists out, and he's fighting a charge for beating up his pregnant girlfriend. And then you got like Young Thug on Twitter threatening to kill his ex. It's just like I can't, as somebody who's matured, like I don't identify with this music. More so than the music, I don't identify with the message these young niggas is on. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if we had a higher, like if it took more for you to like get on, before musically, like there was a higher bar, you had to make maybe more, like you didn't have the benefit of social media, like you couldn't create your own platform as easily. And I think that's one reason why we have so many of these.
Hell yeah. There's no quality control.
Yeah, like anyone, there's no barrier to entry, basically. So anyone can put out an EP. Anyone can put out a fucking, collection of horrible sounds and call it an EP, and yeah, I mean that social media, lack of originality. I feel like before, to your point about like how it may have been cool to say bitch and all this stuff before. I mean, some of that is us growing up. Some of that is us being politically correct. But yeah, there is still good music being made. But like, I think maybe like some of the younger like the younger, like you said, the people that you mentioned, some of that stuff I can't really connect with. But there is still, thankfully, like good music being made. It may not be at the top of the charts, but there is still good music out there.
Agreed. Definitely looking forward to that new Black Milk, by the way, and that new Black Thought EP that's supposed to be coming out with Ninth Wonder. But go ahead.
Well, that was pretty much it. Brandon asks, who is one guest who you can't wait to interview on your show?
As many of you know, and a lot of you don't, mine would be Combat Jack. He and I actually linked up in LA, and he was adamant about coming onto our show, but obviously, unfortunately, he passed before he was able to join us. So that would definitely be my dream guest. I was so looking forward to that. And if you want all the fine details, I wrote a tribute to him about him and, the whole Black podcast movement that he spearheaded over at Very Smart Brothers. But outside of him, it's got to be Mr. Stephen Hardaway Morris. A little known fact about this show is that once upon a time when we were, wee little babies in this podcast shit, someone at the root, who shall remain nameless because I don't want to fuck up the plug, offered to connect us to him and make it happen. But I think at that point we just didn't have enough juice. I mean, I think we were like we still had on our training wheels. We were like 2-3 months in. But now that we're on our Cardi B glow up, we might need to revisit that one. So the plug, if you're listening, we might need to have a conversation. You might be getting a text from me after the show to see if we can make this happen. But yeah, it would definitely be Mr. Stephen Hardaway Morris. For those who don't know, I'm talking about is Stevie Wonder, by the way, for you young kids.
Hey, plug. I think that, of course I would like to talk to Janet Jackson. But
no,
aside from that, I would really like to talk to, off the top of my head, H.E.R is one person that I would like to have a conversation with. I love his music. Yeah, I think he's done a lot of dope things in the last couple of years musically. I mean, of course, you have your Anita Baker, first concert person I would love to talk to, but contemporary person, yeah, I would say H.E.R.
That was a good question.
Yeah, shout out to you, Brandon.
That was a good question. So yeah, if you have any colorful questions for us that you would like for us to answer on the show, definitely shoot us to them in an email at theextraordinarynegroes@gmail.com, or you can DM us on, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. You can tweet us. You can leave a comment for us, post to our Facebook. Just any, we got plenty of ways to get a hold of us. So just shoot it over to us. If you see Alex and his glorious locks, run him down. You can ask him in person. You can ask me. Just get the questions to us, and we'll definitely try to answer it on the show. But shall we get on with the this interview?
Let's do it.
All right, let's hit it. Hailing from Morton, Minnesota, Dallas Goldtooth is a speaker, organizer, and national campaigner for the Indigenous Environment Network, who has traveled extensively across North America addressing the obstacles and issues affecting Indigenous peoples today. In addition to being a Dakota language activist cultural teacher, and dedicated father. He's also a member of the Atlantic Fellows for Racial Equality, a fellowship that seeks to dismantle anti-Black racism in the United States and South Africa, where the legacies of racial exclusion and discrimination are still prevalent. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and survivors of the latter half of Alicia Keys' discography, Dallas Goldtooth.
What is up? I am so happy to be here.
That's the kind of energy I like to hear in the morning, man. I don't know what you ate for breakfast, but I want some of that. So, that's what's up.
Oh man, I'm trying to get in shape. So I'm like, I got that movement, like the movement body, where you're on the computer a bit.
Yeah.
You're like doing protest. The only time of action you're getting is when you're doing some marches here and there,
Yeah.
So I got a bit of a tire around my stomach. So I've been trying to get in shape, and I'm 3 weeks into this bad boy, and my body hurts like no other, but I'm feeling good.
Yes.
So
that's what's up, man.
It's feeling good.
And I like the fact that you call it a movement body. That's hilarious.
Shout out to health as well. So for those who are unaware, you do have a massive social media presence of well over 100,000 followers. And considering that you're probably one of a handful of Indigenous folks with that type of conduit for the American people. So what kind of responsibility comes with that type of visibility and platform?
Oh, the responsibilities. It's like Peter Parker's uncle talking to me. Great responsibility comes with great power. Honestly, what the big thing I struggle with is like being mindful of my audience and being careful of what I put out there. Like, I think that it's honestly like my social media, like my platforms right now. Before I would put the first thing that pop into my head, I'd put it out there, or even if it's like some BS like nonsense that's like, oh, I'm just I really like the smell of feet. Kind of something random like that. I feel like I can't post anymore
Morton,
because
Minnesota,
it's just like
Dallas Goldtooth.
I'm just being hella mindful of who's following and for what reason. And so it's like I have to be more careful than I was before. I can't be posting and I never really did be anyway before, but I can't be posting like conspiracy theory, like chemtrails, like they're poisoning us every day out of these airplanes. Those theories, things like that, like because it just feeds the fire that I don't want to feed. So I'm like being hella. I guess that's the best analogy. I want to be mindful of the fire I'm feeding and really give it good fuel.
Ladies and gentlemen,
that being whatever activism people are I'm into, whatever activism I'm supporting, but also what are issues I'm supporting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to watch out for all them selfies. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I'm so happy to be here. Yes.
Now, by extension of your affiliation with the sketch comedy troupe, the 1491s, you're noted for your unorthodox, humorous approach to environmental activism. Now, considering all the pain that the Indigenous community has endured, how did you develop this approach?
Man, it's like I grew up, like my family is quote unquote traditional, meaning that like we still practice a lot of our original ceremonies. Our traditional songs are really prevalent. We used to do a lot of traditional gatherings. And through that upbringing, every time we had a gathering of people, every time there was more than 4 people, 3 people in the room, humor is always present and prevalent. People are always joking, people are always laughing, always celebrating in some way, even in the darkest times. I mean, I come from a community that's deeply impacted by socioeconomic issues, and growing up in numerous Native communities where we were far below the poverty line. So we had many instances of hardship. Talking to me, and many instances, to be real, many instances of death. Honestly, what all those memories, even in the gatherings around funerals, there was always a presence of laughter. Of my audience, and I think I really sincerely feel that if it wasn't for our ability to laugh, if it wasn't for our ability to make light of a situation, we as Native, as Indigenous peoples would not be here on this planet. Like it has gotten us through, and laughter is medicine. And so I've always been a contrary person. Whenever I walk into a space where I'm meant to be, it's meant to be somber, I can't help but respond in a contrary way. And I see that even in the activism and the movement of sorts. I think far too many people, we take ourselves too serious, and rightfully so. There's some serious issues that we're dealing with, but how we respond to them, we have a choice in that. and I actively choose to use humor at times. At times, not all the time, but use humor and lightheartedness as a way to maneuver within the work that I'm doing.
So do you feel like your humor is a manifestation of hope, or do you feel like it's just a means to process and anesthetize kind of what's been going on?
I feel like it's a bit of both. I mean, I grew up in an alcoholic home. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I recognize now that I have coping mechanisms that I gained, that I learned through that experience, and making light of situations could also be a form of coping. I think that's the way how we traumatize people. I think that's really it's a definite response to that. And doing so gives us hope, and doing so allows us not to freaking fall farther down the well of darkness. To really seek a lighter truth.
How did you develop this approach?
For myself, like, I just trying to be more honest with myself and be really cognizant of how I come into a space. And like I said, be original ceremonies. Being cognizant is also like being very purposeful. And so my approach, I'm being in a very purposeful way every time come into a space we had a gathering of people. Every time as I am, I guess I don't know how to finish that. 3 people in a room. Humor is
so I'm sure humor was actually useful in this journey, but I know you were instrumental in the Keystone XL and Dakota Access Pipeline protests. So being humorous and being a person who's on the front lines, what was it like being on being there on the front line against such blatant environmental racism and white terribleness?
So we had many instances of hardships. And many shit got crazy, dude. To be real, many instances of shit got crazy in Standing Rock. And all black folks saw it even on social media. A lot of people experienced it on the ground, witnessing, and I think the overt militarization of our police force is something that I imagine a lot of people in this country, especially a lot of folks that come from more affluent communities, really understand. When you are standing shoulder to shoulder with your brothers and sisters in a peaceful manner, unarmed, and you're facing off against tanks and sniper rifles and 24-hour helicopter surveillance and National Guard members, like that's a reality. To be honest, like I come to expect out of this country. That's a reality that when in that moment when I'm seeing this shit happen. I'm seeing, like I'm reflecting now, but in the moment, to use humor at times, I couldn't help but be like, use humor and a lightheartedness. This is just a realization of what I always knew to be.
Do you feel like your humor is
so in a way, it wasn't surprising,
or do you feel like it's
in a way I wasn't surprised that we got private security for this energy, this fossil fuel company, for this oil company to use dogs. Attack dogs on human beings, on private citizens. I wasn't surprised that I would wake up in the middle of the night and you can hear helicopters and you can hear airplanes flying over our head because they're using night vision infrared cameras 24/7 as surveillance. I wasn't, to be absolutely honest, it's crazy how I respond to it because there was a time last year in December 2016. At the resistance camp against the Dakota Access Pipeline, just above on a bluff overlooking the camp where we're at, and the North Dakota National Guard positioned a
surface to air
and surface to surface rockets. They positioned that over the camp. Now they say like, oh, we're using the camera. They have a really infrared. The special camera.
I'm sure humor was actually useful.
That they're like, that's what we're using it for.
This journey, but
we know the history of resistance in this country. We know that they use psyops against us. We know that they use intimidation and exhibitions of their force to keep us complicit, and that wasn't surprising to see that. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Oh, man.
I think as black folks, it's easy for us to relate as far as you not being surprised. But I mean, it's still like, to hear you say that, it's still like jarring. It's still like, holy shit. Listen to what this man is explaining. And this is the type of behavior we've come to expect from the dominant culture in regards to resistance.
It's something that I imagine. Exactly. No, yeah, I'm not trying to downplay it or nothing. It really was traumatizing. If there was anything, it helped, just like what we saw in Ferguson, just what we saw in other places. It helps against tanks, non-native people, a lot of white folks, 24-hour really understand the reality that a lot of our Guard members, that's a reality. Really help people understand the greater fight here, you know. So it's not to downplay or nothing, but it was pretty traumatizing.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people, you know, like you said, as far as it brought that fight to a lot of different people. Unfortunately, like, you know, this is just knowing history and knowing how this country has gone about, you know, expanding and, you know, just the way they've treated indigenous people. Wow. A lot of people need to see it, unfortunately, just like, you know, before in the civil rights era. They had to see the dogs and the hoses and the military weapons in order to recognize the humanity and recognize that an injustice was happening. So I'm sure it's hella frustrating, especially considering now that everybody's trying to say we're post-racial and claim that we're so evolved and we've come such a long way. And definitely proves that we have a lot of fucking work to do.
You can hear airplanes flying over our heads. That's crazy. You know what's crazy though? Night vision is like, so I wasn't like, before I wasn't, to be absolutely the Dakota Access fight, the no Dapple fight. I'll just take my Facebook alone. So Facebook, I had like 40,000 followers on 40,000 followers on Facebook, and that was based on my previous comedy work and other activism work. And then when No Dapple started, and I started kind of doing reporting from the ground, what's going on, it jumped up to where it's now up there, 130 or some thousand people. I know the vast majority of those people are white people. We're using the camera, the followers there. So when you that first question you asked about like responsibility or whatever, like it's crazy because I started like using it for, but reporting what was happening, like the day-to-day report backs about like what the actions that we were doing to stop the delayed construction, the actions that police were doing to suppress citizen speech, using the public speech rights, our free speech rights. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And it got all this following, and people were really interested, and lots of like bonuses
surprised,
and like.
But I mean, it's still like,
there was a lot of like
hear you say
positive
that,
reaction
like
to what I was
it's
posting.
Still like, holy shit!
But what was crazy?
Listen to what this man is explaining,
like, I
and this is the type of
laugh
behavior
at how
we've come to expect
ridiculous
from the
this is.
in regards
is
to
at the moment
resistance.
though, I would pause and do a public commentary on white privilege. It really was traumatizing.
It was a rap.
If there was anything, oh man, it was like. Just like troll heaven. It was people getting hurt, people calling me racist, people saying, "How dare you?" I stood with you. I defended and stood with you against this fight against Dakota Access. But you bring up white privilege, I'm not going to follow you no more. Like, I was like, serious? Not to downplay or nothing, but it was. Yes, exactly. That was. I still get that every time.
Yeah, I know for a lot of people,
if I post
like
anything about
it brought
white privilege, it's fragile white tears all day.
They love to weaponize that allyship country has.
And that's just like it's crazy that like I don't know, it's just nuts. And you would automatically assume like, look, you're following these individuals, this content, you're following people of color to really learn about what they're going through, what they're experiencing, what they're fighting. But yet, if we challenge your reality to a certain extent, then oh man, you turn off.
Because you took away the warm and fuzzy feeling that they have from following you. And we've come such a long way. So on that same note, how has environmental racism shaped your indigenous experience in this country? I mean, I know it's crazy. For us,
crazy though.
For a lot of people, seeing that stuff happening in 2017 was a shock, but I'm sure you dealt with that, your whole entire life. So, like, how has that shaped your experience?
Well, so my dad, he's been an organizer since I can remember, and he founded the organization I work for now, the Indigenous Environmental Network, one of the founders. And I grew up going to community meetings. I grew up going to different communities who are fighting different forms of environmental justice, or different forms of environmental racism. So it was very up in front. And I know in my mind about like how the oppressive nature of the settler society directly impacts our inherent relationship to the land. Reporting what was happening. The settler state, one of its objectives is to disenfranchise us of the land in which we gain spiritual and physical nourishment. I think that's where as I got older, I realized it's not just Native people. It got all this following, and people were really interested. Like, as I got older and I got to travel a bit more, there was a lot of that's when I started hearing about farm laborers and Latino farm laborers down in like New Mexico area who were going through the same issues. Or you're talking about is that the poor Black communities in the South, or you're talking about even communities in urban communities like in Detroit or other metropolitan areas, where this disenfranchisement, this disconnection from the land itself is a part of getting hurt. People the goals that the settler society want.
Saying,
how dare you? So that's why I think that you see like indigenous resistance when you're talking. You see indigenous resistance across the country. We're seeking self-determination. We're seeking sovereignty, political, social sovereignty, and those frameworks are directly connected to the self. Our sovereignty is the land, and land is our sovereignty.
White privilege. That's a great quote, man. It's fragile, I guess to kind of double back on what I touched on earlier, one of the things that was kind of alarming to me was, I think it was a couple years back where, Ta-Nehisi Coates has repeatedly been very vocal about his inability to be hopeful for the future as a Black person. And one of the things that I've always said for years now, I mean, between, the Indian American boarding school situation, between the deluge of environmental racism. I mean, all these things that you guys have incurred. As difficult as it is for me to be hopeful, I just truly do not understand, considering like the place that the indigenous peoples hold within the hierarchy of the United States, how you can be hopeful. Like, what makes you hopeful that there's things that can, what makes you hopeful that there will be change and that, disparity will eventually balance itself out? Like, how do you remain hopeful?
Community meetings. I grew up going to that's a real question. That's a difficult question. I struggle with it. To be honest, I think there's ups and downs. Like, it especially gets hard when you want your community to be better, when you want your community to be healthier, you want your community to be happy, and you want your community to be fulfilled. I think that's the big thing is like, how can we achieve fulfillment as a community? But where I tend to find hope are those individuals, or those instances, or those moments where those silos, like as I got the walls older and I got silos break down, and people start connecting the dots. That's where I really try to put my hope in. My hope is in those moments, New Mexico area, making those moments happen more and more frequently. Talking about what the President Trump, what Trump is doing, what the Republicans are doing, with this neo-Nazism that's prevalent, that's kind of like this white fascism, white supremacy presence that we know has always been there, but it's kind of coming to the surface. But it's causing us to break those silos faster. It's causing us to really together. So that's why I think that so if there's anything I see, any positive out of all the shit that we're seeing right now, is the fact that we are being forced to work together across all different spectrums of resistance.
And so what's the biggest sacrifice you feel that you've made as an activist?
Oh, dude, it's family. Land is our sovereignty. That's the part that I guess the way
to kind of double back on what I touched on earlier,
how my
one of the things that
activism
was
has
kind of
impacted my
alarming to
children
me
and my relationship with my wife.
I think it was a couple years back.
It takes up so much time and energy, and that's the part. Like when we talk about the movement, we talk about movement activism. What so many people don't realize or we overlook is
one of the things that I've always said
our family sacrifice
for years now. I mean, between
it's time away from
Indian American boarding school situation, between
when you're doing like the activism that I do and I'm a part of. It's in a way 24/7 where I'm getting calls.
As difficult as it is for me to be hopeful, I just truly do not understand, considering like the place that the indigenous peoples hold within the hierarchy of the United States.
At times where it's real talk, and this is not just me. I've talked to other people that have families or partners.
Hopeful that there's things that can.
Sometimes
what makes
like,
you hopeful that there will be change,
or even I at times,
and
I'll
that,
speak for myself.
Disparity
I
will
at times
eventually
like,
balance itself out. Like, how do
I
you
wish I could
hopeful?
just have a 9 to 5. Where boom, I check out at 5. I don't care to work with me. I don't do nothing. I'm just here. I struggle with it. To be honest, that's the biggest sacrifice. There's ups and downs. Like it especially gets hard.
No, I mean I can relate on some level. I used to be a social worker, but I try to stay active in voluntary philanthropies and things of that matter. In addition to my freelancing endeavors, and it's just like sometimes I just wish like, man, I wish I had a 9 to 5 as opposed to a 24/7. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of work, man. It's difficult. Now, what do you feel is most understood about indigenous communities within the United States?
The walls between those silos break down. What is most understood?
Yes.
That's where I really seen some shit. My hope is in those moments, and making those moments happen more and more. that I feel like what was most understood is also sometimes our greatest struggle, our greatest obstacle.
Neo-Nazism that's prevalent, that's kind of like this white fascism, white supremacy present that we know has always been there, but
the genocide that happened,
it's causing us to break those silos.
Starting in
it's causing us
1492
to really
all the way up until like
so if there's anything I see
years ago,
positive out of all the shit that we're seeing right now is the fact that we
it nearly wiped us off, wiped us out, Native peoples across the Americas.
Spectrums of resistance.
So I think that's what's most understood is our quote unquote plight
that you've made.
But then also that plight is one of our greatest obstacles, right? You know what I mean?
I guess the way I carry.
I mean that's used all the time, like you poor people, poor Indians, the Indian plight
and my relationship with my wife. It takes up so much
time that forces
and energy, and that's the part. Like
what that creates is this like
we're talking about movement activism.
This belief
so many people
that
don't
Indigenous
realize
people, that Native peoples only exist in the past, not in the moment.
Our families,
it's sad what it's like. Basically, what it's sad what the government did to you. Not it's fucking
when you're doing
terrifying what the government is doing to you.
I'm a part of. It's in a way 24/7 where I'm getting calls.
I was about to say, I think that's also a byproduct of the fact that like Indigenous people are virtually invisible in most people's communities as far as what they see in mainstream media, as far as what they experience. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have that. They don't see you guys. So and part of that, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's like, oh, that's messed up. What happened back then? And it's like if they don't have a context to experience that or use you as a conduit to see what's going on currently, it's just I'm just amazed by how people can just be so obtuse to things that just don't directly involve them. Like it's insane. Yeah. No, I mean, I can relate on some level.
But it's not surprising exactly for the fact I can't hold it against somebody that lives in the middle of nowhere that has that's nowhere near a Native community to be like, oh, I don't really know about Native issues. That makes sense. I mean, that's ignorance,
like,
right?
Man, I wish I had a
and it's not
as opposed to a 24/7. You know what I'm saying?
Negative ignorance. It's just the fact that we don't have that experience. But
now, what do you feel
we also
are
more connected than we've ever been on this planet through social media, through TV.
What is most understood?
Narratives that are constantly we are bombarded with, and so that's the part that's fucked up. Is in all that content that we are being bombarded with nonstop. Like what percentage of that content is a portrayal of Native people, and what percentage of that portrayal is a positive portrayal or a contemporary portrayal?
We were
right. Like we talk about, what are your most favorite Native films, or what Native films do you know? Like, what films do you know that portray Native people? Like, 9 out of 10 times they're going to name like Pocahontas, or they're going to name
Smoke Signals,
or Dancing with Wolves, right? And so that's what we're pushing up against. That's one of the things with our social, the comedy group I'm part of is like really responding to that, like these portrayals of Native people,
right? You know what I mean?
Kind of subverting them and turning them on their head. I mean, that's a goal. That's a key goal to the work that we do, is the subversion of how we are portrayed. You know, there's a little exercise I did once.
But then that forces.
I travel to colleges. I speak in front of students, and I was speaking to this like liberal college. What was that college called? Up in Maine. It was basically all white folks in there. And I talked about Indian movies.
It's like basically, I said, sad what the government did.
It's common, terrifying what the government is. The majority of you represent. No, you represent the majority of the society.
I was about to say, I think that's also a byproduct
of
the fact that like
profitable film
Indigenous people are virtually invisible.
One of the most profitable films in history
in most people's communities, as far as what they see in mainstream media, as far as what they experience. You know what I'm saying?
Know what that
like
is?
They don't have that. They don't see you guys. So, and part of that, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's like, oh, that's messed up. What happened back then? And it's like if they don't have a context to experience that, or
tragic mulatto got to turn half
see what's going on
Native,
currently,
half white, or half human.
I'm just amazed by how people can just be so.
If you break it down, it's Pocahontas in
don't
space.
directly involve them. It's insane.
Think about it. The Indian princess that was betrothed to the other Indian guy, gives him up and falls in love with this white guy who comes in the middle of nowhere that has and then she sacrifices. Literally, she puts herself she saves him. Just like John Smith, that story where the chief they were going to kill the white guy. well, they were going to kill old homeboy.
Necessarily negative ignorance,
and she stopped it, right? Like, it's Pocahontas in space. Let alone, like, you're also talking about resource extraction and land degradation. That trope ain't dead. That story isn't dead. We're still being taught it,
constantly.
But I'm gonna say this though. I'm looking forward to that sequel. I'm gonna go see that because that's a good.
And all that content that we're being bombarded with nonstop. What percentage of that
Pocahontas in space too?
I'm gonna go see that movie. What percentage of that portrayal is a
more white
positive
people
portrayal
saving the world.
or a contemporary?
I saw that San
portrayal,
Francisco recently
right?
became the 57th city to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yes.
Films or
Yes.
What
Shout out to
native
San
films
Francisco.
do you know? What films do you know?
So how can American citizens who are not
9 out
members
of 10
of the
times
indigenous
they're gonna
community
name
best make use of the day instead of just using it as an excuse to be lazy bastards and skip work?
And
that's what I think that there's a couple things. I think one
the comedy
is
part of is like
this
really
fight against
responding to that,
big
like
oil,
these
this
portrayals
fight
of Native
to
people
keep fossil
and
fuels
kind
in the
of
ground
subverting them and turning
doesn't
them
just
on their head.
impact
That's a
all
goal.
of us.
That's a key goal
the big vision is it impacts all of us on this planet,
how
right?
we are
The
portrayed.
world's getting hotter.
There's a little exercise
Every
I did
day,
once.
on average, the world is getting hotter. It's causing
travel
more
colleges,
climate
I speak in front
chaos,
of students,
and
I was
that's
speaking
real
to
in
this,
the
like,
most direct,
liberal
scientifically
what was that college
backed
called? Up
way
in Maine.
method
It was basically all white folks in there.
to reduce
And
the
I
effects
talked
of
about
climate
Indian
chaos
movies.
and reduce the
I
effects
said,
of climate change is
you
to
as
keep fossil fuels in the ground. Stop taking the shit out of the ground.
the
But
majority
in supporting
of
that
you
effort,
represent-
you're also
you
directly
represent the
supporting
majority of
indigenous
the
communities
society
who are
to certain-
often
in certain ways.
at the point of
most
extraction of the
profitable
oil
film
or the natural
in
gas.
history, or one of the
Not
most
only
profitable
that, they're
films
also
in
they
history
tend to be at the
is
point
an Indian
of the
story.
climate chaos.
It's an Indian
Do you
movie.
know right now
Do you know what that is?
the United
And they were-
States has already
they
had
dumbfounded their
its
ass and
first
themselves. I was like,
community of
Avatar.
climate refugees. The United States has
Avatar
already had
is a
there's
fucking
one
Indian
community that has already that is now has to relocate
got to turn half
because
native,
the water
half
is rising. They
white
are
or half
climate
human.
refugees. And that
And
community is the
it's-
Point of
if you
Shame
think-
Indian
break it down,
community
it's
down in
Pocahontas in
southeast
space.
Louisiana.
Like
That community is
think
going
about it, the
underwater.
Indian princess
And the federal government
that was
recognized that, and the
betrothed to
federal
the
government
other
actually
Indian
gave
guy,
a
gives him
federal
up
grant
and falls in love
for
with
that
this white
community
guy
to
who comes and be
relocate
amongst his
because
people.
the seas are rising.
Sacrifices. Literally, she
That's
puts
happening in the
herself,
United
she saves
States.
him, just like John
There
Smith.
are
That
at
story,
least
where the chief they were going to
I
kill
think
the white guy.
15
Well, they were going to
Alaska
kill,
Native villages up in
homeboy.
Alaska who within the
and she
next
stopped it,
10
right?
years
Like,
will also
it's
have to
Pocahontas in
relocate their
space.
villages,
Let alone,
which
like,
many
you're also
have
talking about resource
existed at
extraction and land
for over a
degradation.
millennia.
That
So
trope ain't dead.
you're
That
talking about
story isn't
Louisiana,
dead.
you're talking
We're
about
still being
Alaska.
taught it,
These are the
you know?
prime
But
these
I'm
are
gonna say
prime
this, though.
spaces
I'm looking
of
forward to
oil
that
and
sequel.
natural
I'm gonna go
gas
see that, 'cause
extraction,
that's a good-
but they're also dealing with the climate chaos as a result of the gas being pumped out. So if you want to help,
Pocahontas in space
you want to
too, though,
support
I'm
these
gonna go see that
communities,
movie.
then it's
Even
taking
bigger
a
budget
stand
and
and
more white
letting your
people
voice be
saving the
heard
world.
to elected leaders,
Also, that San
to
Francisco recently
decision
became the
makers.
57th
We
city
have to
to
keep fossil
replace
fuels
Columbus Day
in the
with
ground. We
Indigenous
have to
Peoples Day.
divest from fossil fuels.
Yes.
And
Shout
like
out to San
LA is in the
Francisco.
process
Shout
of doing
out.
it. LA is looking right now to try to
So,
divest
how can American
from
citizens
fossil
who
fuels.
are
New York
not
City
members of
just
the
announced
indigenous
that they're going to
community
be
best make use
divesting
of
their
the
pension
day
funds
instead of just
out of
using it
fossil
as an
fuels.
excuse to be
The
lazy
state of
bastards
New
and
York is
skip
also
work?
doing that as well.
Ooh.
Like
Well,
if you
I
are
think that there's
engaged
a
with
couple things. I think
the political
is
structures around you,
this fight
like
against
engaging
big
that to
oil,
help
this
further
fight
this
to keep fossil fuels in the
transition
ground
away from fossil
doesn't
fuels
just
is
impact
absolutely necessary.
all of us.
And
It big
helps
vision
all
is
of
it
us.
impacts all of us on
But
this
it also
planet,
helps
right?
those
The world's getting
communities
hotter.
at the
Every
brink
day on
of
average,
destruction.
the world is getting
The
hotter.
system
It's
in
causing
which we
more
live
climate
in
chaos.
is predicated
And
upon the
that's
oppression
real in the most
of
direct,
people of color
scientifically
and poor people
method
all across this world.
to
If we do not take
reduce
the sincere
effects of
steps to
climate
challenge the
chaos and
system,
reduce
to
the
change
effects
the
of
system,
climate change,
then we're not
is
going to really
to keep
solve the
fossil fuels
problem
in the
here.
ground. Stop taking the shit out of the
And
ground. But
the way I break
supporting
it down
that
like
effort,
this
you're
is
also
that more
directly
people,
supporting
we would
indigenous
all be
communities who
choosing,
are
if we had the
often
choice,
at the point of
we would,
extraction of the
we do
oil
sustainable
or the
energy. We would have,
natural gas.
everyone would have solar panels,
Not
everyone
only
would do wind
that,
energy, everyone would be
they
using
tend to be
renewable,
at the
sustainable
point
energy.
of
But the
climate
system does not
chaos.
give us
know
that
right
choice
now,
on
the
mass
United
scale.
States has already
It's just like asking
its
like,
first community
well,
of
poor
climate
folks,
refugees.
whether in the city or out in the country, saying, well, you should just eat better. Like,
that
well,
has already
fuck it, we don't have the option, we don't have availability to good
because
food. We live in
the
food
water
deserts.
is rising. They are climate
Like, yeah, we would be eating better if we had those options available. available
Indian
to
community down in
So,
Southeast Louisiana.
and doing when you present it that way, you're like, the system is designed to keep us from living healthy. The system is designed to keep us from living fulfilled lives. And so we have to change the system to get to where we need to be.
Mic drop.
That's happening in the United
Mic
States.
drop.
there are at least, I think, 15 Alaska Native villages up in Alaska.
I mean,
within the next 10 years.
So I guess the reason I just bring that up is because some people say, well, I do my part. I recycle. So we're good. I do my part. I do this. Like, no, we have to take it one step further and be vocal in the public space about what we're doing. That's where I'm asking people to hit the streets and start marching. So get involved in all this shit that's happening, like this indivisible movement where people are challenging the elected leaders. Get involved in that. Take over local decision making in your county commissions or your city decision making. Like, every institution you belong to, if they're a part of this capitalist system,
from fossil fuels,
are investing their money somewhere. So find out where those institutions are investing their money and make sure they're investing it properly.
The state of New York is also doing that as well.
Not investing in oil, not investing it in prisons, not investing it
with the political structures around you,
in the degradation of lives of other people elsewhere.
Dallas, we might have to change your name to Reverend Goldtooth.
It helps.
Now, now we had Rainier Manning Ding of Love Life of an Asian Guy on a previous episode, and we asked him a similar question as it pertained to Asian communities. But what changes do you feel Black and Indigenous communities must make in order to become stronger allies in order to uproot white supremacy?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that there's a certain responsibility that Native communities have to do to deal with.
The way I break it down like this is that more people, we would all be
internalized anti-blackness.
We would,
I think that's one challenge that's like kind of like that's on us, but it's also a conversation that needs to happen.
But the system does not give us that.
Native folks, there's a perspective of anti-blackness that's present, because we've been institutionalized and educated by this country and mainstream society to believe that.
We don't have the option.
Or devalue folks by the color of their skin, even our own people. What we see in our community, we see in many other communities of color where people grow up and they want to be lighter, they want to be whiter. So that's something that like I'm really passionate about, and I'm really interested in, is having that conversation with my own communities, my own people about. But what I look forward to is this conversation about self-determination. What is Black liberation and self-determination look like in this country, and how can it learn from Indigenous self-determination and liberation? How do we support and uplift those narratives? And how do we renew our relationship to the land itself?
In the public space,
and how do we take it one step further?
Hit the streets and start marching.
There's some great conversations I've seen and
indivisible movement
on a light level, been a part of with relatives doing some great work down in the South, who are looking at
take over local decision making,
land restitution and farming and food sustainability work. Like I want to see how can we further that with our own perspective as Indigenous peoples, what can we learn from that as well?
So find out where those institutions are investing.
That's important. We're definitely much stronger together, and if we just I think like something Jay mentioned earlier was a good point. Kind of like out of sight, out of mind. We definitely need to get better at investing in other people's, not other people's tragedies in it, but just learning about other things that don't directly affect us.
We might have to change the name to Reverend Goldtooth.
That we can share to maybe cause.
Now we had Rainier Manning. I think too is that Love Life of an Asian Guy. I think most Black people don't really understand how close the parallels are between the Black experience and the Indigenous experience within the United States. I mean, we both experienced genocide in some way, shape, or form. We both experienced genocide. We both were never properly compensated or allowed to address that or heal from that. We've had all these other manifestations of subsequent manifestations of prejudice and discriminatory behavior. We both experienced casual racism, whether it's, racial profiling. Because I think, I forgot the numbers, but I believe reservations have the highest number of police violence. I could be wrong about that. I forgot the exact numbers on that. I'm a big sports fan, and it's hard for me to enjoy, participate, and involve myself in certain teams in sports entirely just because of how ingrained Indigenous disparagement is. You know what I'm saying? Through the mascots, the logos, the team names, and it's just like it's so prevalent that it's like common for even Black people to where a Cleveland Indians or an Atlanta Braves. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that shit is not okay. Washington Redskins, like that shit is not like, it's part of our everyday vernacular. It's part of our leisure. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally using this as a form of leisure and entertainment in disparaging these communities. Like, it's just insane to me.
Yes, no, exactly. I think that that's a moment where we look at for solidarity, asking folks to step up. Specifically, that like the Indian mascot issue is a key issue right now. That's been going for years now. That we need more support, folks, to really say, "Hey, shit, Redskins, that's there's some great conversations. That shit's pretty fucking bad." The Cleveland Indians, like the relatives, like some great work. I always say, like, the Cleveland Indians is like a red Sambo. Like, look at the imagery, how it's utilized, and look how that imagery is used to wash over Indigenous experience in this country. Look how it's used to wash over what actually happened. The statement that we typically give is like, we're honoring you by wearing your shit, even though
I think like
our folks killed you. We're going to honor you now in some way. It's a fallacy that needs to really be approached. So thank you for bringing that up.
Learning about other things that don't directly
it's a good point.
Because we definitely have resources.
And I mean, even in what happened in the American Indian boarding schools, where Indigenous people were literally conditioned to tailor themselves after the dominant culture. Like, they tried to exterminate Native American traditions. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like there's levels to this shit. Like, it's
we both. There's what's crazy? I just learned this too. So the folks that don't know, the assimilation policy, like the United States literally had on the books a policy called the assimilation policy, where they would take Native folks one-way train tickets to the city, in hopes that they would just assimilate into the city. That's why we have like one of the largest Native populations in the United States is in the Bay Area, is in LA, Denver. Like, those are like hotspots of Native communities. And a lot of those Native communities that you find in Los Angeles or in the Bay Area are a result from 1950s assimilation policy, where they were given one-way tickets and say, all right, just throw them in the city and they'll just blend in.
In certain teams in
but then
sports
also,
entirely just because of how ingrained Indigenous
huge forgotten nugget of history,
you know what I'm saying, through the mascots, the logos, the team names.
Starting in like 1915,
it's just like, it's so prevalent that it's like
all the way up until like
common for even Black people.
There was an active policy of sterilization of Indigenous women
you know what I mean? Like, it's like that
specifically Indian hospitals that work for
Washington
reservations.
Redskins. Like,
During that time
shit
span,
not, like, it's part of our everyday vernacular. It's part of our leisure.
That 1 out of 4 women
like, we're literally
were
using this
sterilized.
as a form of leisure and entertainment
of Indigenous women that went to these hospitals, up to even 30-40%,
no, exactly. I think that
were sterilized.
That's a moment
because it was that whole policy of like,
solidarity,
let's keep the poor people from having babies, and that shit ain't, that's not unique to us as Native folks. They do that to Black folks too. That we need more support, folks, to really say, hey, shit, Redskins. But I think that we pretty fucking bad. There's prime opportunity to really break down these barriers and work together. And I always say, like, the Cleveland Indians is like a red. I think that's why I like about look at the imagery, Standing Rock, how it's utilized. Like, what made the fight against Dakota Access even stronger is that Indigenous experience. It was built on the foundation that the issue actually happened. Like, it was built on the foundation that Flint Free, like, the necessity for clean water by wearing your shit. Right, it's an issue. We nationalized the conversation of having clean water, which is a good step in the right direction. If we continue to nationalize that, no matter where you come from, no matter whether you're Black or Native or Latino or whatever it may be.
And I mean, even in what happened in the American Indian boarding schools, where Indigenous people were literally conditioned to tailor themselves after the dominant culture. Like, they tried to exterminate Native American traditions. Well, Dallas, definitely thank you for coming through. We are going to now transition into the wrap-up portion of our show. What we do every week on here is we have a Extraordinary Negro of the Week, somebody who is doing some super dope shit that we want to give them a shout out, congratulate them on what it is that they're doing. If you have somebody in mind, you are more than welcome to name them. Otherwise, I can go ahead and go first.
Into the city. That's why we have. All right,
you go first.
One of the largest Native populations in the United States.
I would like to give a shout out to my friend friend who is
Denver,
not a Negro,
like,
but does
are,
a lot of passionate work for
the
Negroes, myself included. My BFF, Olivia A. Cole, who just released her brand new book, A Conspiracy of Stars. I need everybody to take their ass on Amazon. Go scoop that up. Gabrielle Union was on Snapchat plugging it. You know, it's a great book. If you're into the, you know, the young adult fiction, the sci-fi, you know, the whole thing, it's a great book. It's a great look for you. And the thing that I love about it is that it bans the amount of diversity and inclusion that we have in that space, just because the predominant amount of the characters in there are obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but are, you know, Black. And I think that that's what she's doing is incredible. She's an amazing writer. She's one of my favorite people on earth. I talk to her almost every day. And like I said, she's been getting showered with a bunch of praise. She's been getting a bunch of write-ups on this book. And I'm just so proud of her that it's out. I know it's, you know, a labor of love, both literally and figuratively. I know some of it was written while she was even pregnant, carrying her daughter Lumi. So want to give her a shout out. Congratulations on that. We'll definitely be doing a giveaway on this show soon with that book too. So that is my extraordinary Negro of the week, or adjacent Negro.
What's going on? I think that's what I like about Standing Rock. I want to give a shout out to my homegirl H.E.R. Marie Brown.
Okay,
she's an author. It was built on the foundation. She's actually an organizer, but she's an author. She just came out with this new book called Emergent Strategy. She's an amazing facilitator and like just powerful writer and speaker. And I've seen her do great stuff. She used to work for the Ruckus Society up in Oakland and doing nonviolent direct action that communities of color. And this new book, Emergent Strategy, is like her observations and her experiences working with communities and how we transform all this energy, constant flux, and this change that's happening. How do we use that to empower ourselves, but also empower our communities and empower us as human beings to be better. And it's like, dude, it's straight like it goes there to the deep level, but also pulls some real life examples. So I really want to shout out. She's doing a great job. This is her first book, and it's called The Emergent Strategy.
That we want to give them a shout out,
Marie Brown.
Congratulate them on what it is that they're doing. If you have somebody Alex, in mind, you got one? You are more than welcome to name them.
I actually have two this week because why not? My Extraordinary Negroes of the week are my mother and sister, April and Adele Mahardy. Like my family's had a significant amount of challenges that we've overcome in the past couple of years. You know, all mostly health related. You know, my sister's had some issues with mini strokes and like things with her motor skills. And I'm just really proud of the long way that she's come. You know, as far as getting back to work and working towards becoming an accountant again, and really getting back on track and staying strong for her nieces and family and my mother. It's just always been the rock. You know, she's been battling lupus for 40 years, and so it's been kicking her ass, but she is like a beacon of joy for everyone who she encounters. And I just wanted to share some love for those two who inspire me in particular on this
Black. And
so
I think
shout out to my
that's
mom
what she's
and
doing
my
is
sister.
incredible. She's an amazing writer. Dallas, how can people get a hold of you? You got any websites or social media accounts you want to plug? She's been getting showered with a bunch of praise.
Instagram, Twitter, a bunch of write-ups on this book. Dallas
and I'm just so proud of her that it's out. I know it's
Goldtooth, one word. You can also check out IndigenousRising.org.
I know
that's
some of it was
media
written while she was even pregnant, carrying her daughter Lumi.
We're part of.
Want to give her a shout out. Congratulations on that. We'll definitely be doing a giveaway on this show soon.
And yes, check me out. Follow me on social media, Dallas Goldtooth. Appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity to view and share a story with you all, and much energy and luck in your direction.
That's what's up. And Alex, how can people get a hold of the Extraordinary Negroes?
She's an author.
You can find more from us, the Extraordinary Negroes, at our website, theextraordinarynegroes.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Extra Negroes, on Facebook as The Extraordinary Negroes.
She used to work for the Ruckus Society up in Oakland. Doing nonviolent direct action.
And if you love what you're hearing,
and this
please take your ass to Apple Podcasts right now. Drop us that 5-star review. And, as always, tell a friend of 50 and dream those dreams, then man up and woman up and live those dreams, because a life without dreams is black and white, and the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound. Wow. Peace out, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It goes there to the deep level.
Peace out.
Also pull some real life examples. So I really want to shout out. She's doing a great job. This is her first book, and it's called The Emergent Strategy. H.E.R. Marie Brown. She's dope. She's awesome.
Dope. Alex, you got one?
Yes. I actually have two this week, because why not? My Extraordinary Negroes of the week are my mother and sister, April and Adele Hardy. Like, my family's had a significant amount of challenges that we've overcome in the past couple of years, all mostly health related. My sister's had some issues with, mini strokes and like things with her motor skills. And I'm just really proud of the long way that she's come, as far as getting back to work and working towards becoming an accountant again and really getting back on track and staying strong for her nieces in the family. And my mother has just always been the rock. She's been battling lupus for 40 years. And so it's been kicking her ass, but she is like a beacon of joy for everyone who she encounters. And I just wanted to share some love with those two who inspire me in particular on this week. So shout out to my mom and my sister.
That's what's up. Dallas, how can people get a hold of you? You got any websites or social media accounts you want to plug?
Yeah, check out, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Dallas Goldtooth, DALLAS. Goldtooth, one word. You can also check out indigenousrising.org. That's a media platform that we work with. We're part of. That's a part of our activism work for environmental justice. It's called Indigenous Rising. And yeah, check me out. Follow me on social media, Dallas Goldtooth. Appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity to view and share a story with you all. And best much energy and luck in your direction.
Oh, that's what's up. And Alex, how can people get a hold of the Extraordinary Negroes?
You can find more from us, the Extraordinary Negroes, at our website, theextraordinarynegroes.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Extra Negroes, on Facebook as The Extraordinary Negroes. And yeah.
And if you love what you're hearing, please take your ass to Apple Podcasts right now. Drop us that 5-star review. And, as always, tell a friend of 50 and dream those dreams, then man up and woman up and live those dreams, because a life without dreams is black and white and the universe flows in technicolor and surround sound. Blow. Peace out, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Peace.
Peace out.